Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Duval Dive. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game.
And I'm Trevor Holmes with BigCatCountry.com.
And you're listening to this thing on the Believe Podcast Network. Travis, you got my mind thinking. Over and above the long lines in many directions and the complete and total lack of disrespect, this respect ain't coming, seems, I guess, to be a theme for our current piece here in this recent series of podcasts. Just more things coming to my attention. What are we even doing here? We were having a conversation after our pod involving the conversation around Trevor being disrespected. Let's call it what it is here on the dive. And then you brought to my attention, you think that's bad. You didn't say it like this, but my reaction was, you think that's bad. What about the fact that the Jags have never had anybody win any of the major superlatives in their history? Now, granted, there are some teams that have never had, anybody in this category, right? The Texans share some with the Jags. I'm not even throwing shade there. That's just to show it's not just the Jags. The AFC South elements are here. Most valuable player, at one point, Steve McNair was a co-MVP with Peyton Manning, so that takes care of them for MVP, right? That kind of thing. But every single one of these blocks is filled by the Jacksonville Jaguars. At no point have they had a player that's won a superlative.
Yep.
And Trevor was, I think, fifth in the voting, allegedly. Now, I wouldn't have picked him as an MVP this past season, though he may have had more stock than, let's say, I don't know, Drake May. But, it falls to the question, does Trevor Lawrence have an opportunity to do it this year? Is there an upside with there being this much hate that it provides him an opportunity to potentially be an MVP candidate if it goes the right way?
I mean, he's going to be the leading candidate on the Jacksonville Jaguars because it's an MVP award. It's a quarterback award, and it's been a quarterback award for as long as the quarterbacks don't just have horrible seasons where there's a stretch of injuries across the league. It's probably going to go to a quarterback.
If they do, that happens. Listen, here's what I know, Travis. There's a guy whose basic entire injury core was hurt at some point over through and beyond the entire season for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
That he has a quarterback that everybody hates on. Yes, maybe even as much as Trevor Lawrence. Certainly the West Coast version of Trevor Lawrence and the amount of hate he has. And yet still was not the actual MVP as he is. And of course, I'm referring to Christian McCaffrey. But Kyle, you're a Niners fan. I don't want to hear it because I'm not the only one that thinks so. But this is proof that it's a quarterback award.
Yeah, so knowing that it's a quarterback award, then that's the real conversation that we're having right now. It's not, it's if you're looking at MVP possible candidates for the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're looking at Trevor Lawrence. And I know folks around the league are all over the place. Obviously, you saw the ESPN top 10 lists as far as the NFL personnel, executives, and coaches and things, those guys. And then you saw the top 100 list. Shout out Trevor Lawrence landing at 62 over Lamar Jackson for his performance in 2025. But then that still leads us to the question of, all right, cool. The guy who was first in quarterbacking for fantasy football after week 6 of last season, is he going to be able to put it together for a full 17 games? Or maybe not even the full 17 games, because just to be the MVP, you don't really have to do it for the full 17. You really just have to be an MVP quality player for the first 14 to 15 games when those votes actually take place. So that's kind of what we're asking.
So you're thinking more of Pro Bowl voting at that front, because when it comes to, I'll put it this way, I've never really seen it happen to where a dude was missing for the last 3 games of the season and then won it. And if that's happened, correct me, I'm happy to take it.
I'll have to look that one up.
But that goes to the divers in the comments here who are already lighting this piece up, by the way, on a Sunday night doing the things. I get it if Social Alky's running a little late to get the House of the Dragon in. I understand. But nonetheless, especially the Jaguars, though.
Okay. Yeah.
If Trevor Lawrence misses more than 2 games,
yeah, he ain't winning.
it ain't happening.
He ain't winning. He has
coming.
17 realistically. He has to light it on fire for the vast majority of them, but most importantly, he has to dominate in those first 6 to 7 games when he's playing the top competition that's going to be on that schedule in the playoff competition. Because like we just talked about in the last podcast about the top 10 snub for the ESPN, the NFL personnel, they're not going to give him an out if he has a bad game versus top competition, versus playoff level competition. No different than they're not going to give CJ Stroud that out after his bad playoff performance last year. If Trevor Lawrence does not play well to a playoff level performance for an elite quarterback at the prime moment when they're expecting to see a playoff level Trevor Lawrence, he ain't going to get it, because he is not going to ever get the benefit of a doubt playing for small market Jacksonville Jaguars. No different than Jordan Love is never going to get the benefit of a doubt playing for a Matt LaFleur in a small market Green Bay Packers.
Well,
there it is.
I'll put it this way. I think Jordan Love is a bigger stretch and hasn't really arrived yet. And this is not me saying he's bad. I just don't think he's a top 10 guy. Yeah.
Oh, sure. I don't necessarily believe that he also is, but I also just believe that's just another guy who will never get the benefit of a doubt because of the surrounding circumstances. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. So like Trevor Lawrence, can he do it? I absolutely believe he could. Like, I think we've seen the proof of concept in small quantities. Can he put it together and also stay healthy enough to be able to get it? All right, I think he could, but also I think that'd be a bet worth making. And if you're looking at guys who are currently the odds that are currently out there, there's a few interesting odds, and I'm not saying for anyone to gamble. I'm just wanting folks to know what
entertainment purposes only.
Like currently, entertainment purposes only. You got it, Kyle. The odds right now for FanDuel have Trevor Lawrence for MVP odds at plus 1,600. So a $10 inquiry, we'll call it, would gain a prospective buyer, prospective bettor, $160. Travis Hunter's the other interesting one that was out there at plus 17,500. That's a very big bet. And Jacoby Myers, just for comparison's sake, is plus 50,000. So $10 bet would win you $5,000.
I mean, yeah, if you want to donate to FanDuel, sure, go ahead. And,
I'm not telling folks to do it. I just wanted folks to know these are the 3 main Jaguars that I saw listed there for MVP odds. But yeah, overall, I think it's an interesting conversation to absolutely have, and I think we're going to talk about it a lot more when we get closer to the season after seeing what he looks like in the preseason and everything else, because that's obviously going to move a little bit. But if anybody's interested in gambling or that life, hey, it's out there. These are the odds. This is probably the time to do it, because those are not bad odds for a Trevor Lawrence MVP kind of candidates.
Well, and then Preston in the comments, shouts to all our Duval Dive members here on YouTube, by the way. I agree the likeliest is Trevor, but I do think with the hype of never seeing it before, Hunter, 5+ picks, 1,000+ yards and 10 touchdowns, it could happen. Here's the thing. I agree with you, Preston. We should have the conversation if all that happens. But realize, we had a dude that was among the leaders in sacks one year who also had more touchdowns on offense than every single Kansas City Chief combined who received passes. Okay? Now, who is this man I'm talking about? The guys you all get angry at. Oh, let me fix the camera. That is on my wall. It's J.J. Watt, 2012. Should have been the MVP. Instead, they wasted my time with a conversation with Peyton Manning, who had a stacked receiver core and just had to give it to them, and Adrian Peterson, who just carried the team on his back. Let's be honest, Adrian Peterson is in the conversation because of how he recovered, not as much of the fact, though he did have a 2,000-yard season. Have to respect that too. But the punchline is this. It should matter, Preston. It won't.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a quarterback. It's a quarterback award. And on the off chance the quarterback ain't getting it, it's going to be a running back or wide receiver. Like a defender, you're just not getting it. Not these days. Sorry, it kind of is what it is. But if you don't mind, like the other award that the Jaguars have never won, I mean, in addition to most valuable player, is comeback player of the year. with a few other teams like the Cardinals, the Falcons,
Comeback player of
Giants,
the year.
Bears.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few of them
It's interesting.
that are out there who haven't won.
Somebody gets kiboshed by a ridiculously dirty hit last year, comes out here and then helms a 13-win team. Boy, howdy. He's certainly a shoe-in to win the Comeback Player of the Year award, isn't he?
Yes, Trevor Lawrence did not win Comeback Player of the Year last season, which is just interesting. And actually, who did win Comeback Player of the Year last year? Now that I think about it,
the actual MVP of the league, Christian McCaffrey. We did it. We talked about this in an episode here on the Duval Dive, where I precisely lost my mind there too. Because they did that to Christian McCaffrey and handed him a consolation prize for not handing him the MVP that he deserved. Not only did Christian McCaffrey suffer, but so did Trevor Lawrence, because in order to, it's like, oh, wait, we've got to give Christian something. Yeah. Yank, pulled it out of Trevor's hand, handed it right to Christian McCaffrey. It was awkward how they have to scratch the name off the nameplate before they did it. Anyways, obviously, I'm making a lot of that up. It's all hyperbolic and, a metaphor, so to speak. But the punchline is, yes, that's how it happened.
Wow. I honestly forgot all about that, man. I forgot, but also Trevor Lawrence would have still been behind Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, that was also a thing that he had 14.5 sacks.
Understand something. A quarterback was losing an award. That's how much these people hate Trevor.
Yes, that's a fair point. But the Christian McCaffrey, I didn't even think about that piece, man. But interestingly enough, I've scoured a few places, and I hadn't seen a guy I expected to be listed as a possible option on the list for Comeback Player of the Year for the Jaguars. So when looking on FanDuel specifically, I saw Travis Hunter. Fine, I get that, especially with the bettors want to be involved with this. They want to have an in with the Travis Hunter sweepstakes and just an opportunity to bet on that. I get it. He's at plus 4,000. Brian Thomas Jr., very good opportunity. Obviously, if you expect the young guy who just had an incredible rookie season after one down year, you think he's going to come back. I get that too. I didn't see Trayvon Walker though. Most places, I can't say anywhere. I saw him one place, but overall, most betting sites, I did not see him listed as a Comeback Player of the Year candidate, which was shocking to me for a guy who had 2 years straight of 10 plus sacks.
I'll tell you why it happened. First of all, good on you for picking that up and noticing it, Travis. But here's why it's happening. The stat slingers, the people that don't know ball and watch film, which is to say they don't do both, let me be clear, will only look at how many games that were missed by a player in evaluating Comeback Player of the Year, right? Because Trayvon played in many games but didn't necessarily miss as much as, say, a Travis Hunter, and I mean, BTJ didn't miss a lot of games, but I think it's different with him because so many people called him out throughout the entire year. Like, that was a national conversation. Oh, well, Trevor's doing good. We have to crap on BTJ instead. That's kind of what happened in the national media. They didn't watch the game, so they didn't see some of the spectacular catches that happened starting week 4 when I think he actually started to bounce back. But, I'm not Richard Sherman. I like to do my job, but I'm so bad. But with all that being said, I think there's an element of that, and especially being in the trenches, it's harder to kind of notice what's going on there unless you're a full-time analyst like that.
I'm just saying that the dude who gets 10 sacks in 2 years in a row and then has an injured season with 3 sacks probably deserves to be in the Comeback Player of the Year kind of conversation, especially when you're
I'm not telling you wrong.
When you have BTJ also, who only missed, I believe it was just the 2 games, right? BT? Yeah, he only missed the 2 games, right? So I'm not crazy. So comparatively, we're not having a majorly different conversation. It's just that one's a wide receiver, so you're more involved in the fantasy football landscape, and the other one's a defensive lineman, so you're not. But again, we just talked about the fact that Aiden Hutchinson was second in Comeback Player of the Year voting just last year.
Yeah.
Then Trayvon Walker should be listed there. So if you can find those odds somewhere out there, please let me know, because I actually been looking for that one. I'm just trying to figure out what is going on there.
Yeah, I can confirm BTJ had 14 games played last season. So
but he was 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, 3 games instead of the 2 I thought it was. Okay.
I mean, is that a big enough change in your mind? I'm asking.
not really, but it's still more than I thought it was. So I'll at least acknowledge that.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, and then you get into the comeback to the offensive player of the year awards, like because again the Jaguars haven't had anyone to
real quick.
Go ahead, dude.
I'm gonna let Storm strike here.
Go ahead
in the comments. Anyone see Cam Jordan call sacks overrated? He said sacks are nice as long as you're not giving up gap integrity or a negative in run defense chasing sacks. He was basically hinting Trey Hendrickson. Okay, well, so Storm, I'm obviously not criticizing you. I hear that all the time. Sacks are nice, but like, I mean, don't over pursue. Like, it's less about the sack and more about what a sack means is you overwhelm the man in front of you. It's less about, what happened around it. Oh, well, you got a sack, but really, if the quarterback was smart enough to run away, you didn't get it. That's not how they do it. Oh, and my personal favorite, one we don't talk about enough, although I seem to talk about it a lot involving UCF quarterbacks, but don't get me started about what I say on Locked On. If somebody holds the ball too long, we don't really have that conversation too much, except maybe on this podcast where we mentioned it.
We talk about it.
So, yeah, we definitely talked about it in particular to Justin Herbert and Geno Smith, right? So, but yeah, PT Preston says it in the comments, sacks are damn near turnover, kills drives. Yeah, I can agree with that.
I can agree with both sides of the conversation, though. Like, it's a nuanced conversation that you're probably only going to hear people in the NFL have. You're not going to hear many fans say sacks are overrated because, well, sacks are the main thing that gets a lot of guys paid. But yeah, I think it's actually a real conversation to say sacks can sometimes be overrated depending on how the player is getting them.
It's in my opinion, that's intellectually dishonest framing, not by you. It's not a matter of
the question trying to be disingenuous.
I'm not saying he's trying to be, but hear me out. Like, the concept is the question should not ever be asked, do you want one or the other? Nobody designs a defense saying, you know what, run 300 yards a game on us. I don't care. We're leaving this gym with 4 sacks a game at least. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that. So what happens though is teams end up in situations where they may favor towards one or the other, depending on what their surrounding division is, right? Right. This is why the Jags had been so unique for a while. We talked about this back in 23, 24, where for the longest time, the Jags were the one team whose main weapon wasn't running the football. So in the AFC South, the way you designed your team was one piece. And yeah, Storm, I know it's that was the lead. Remember, I'm not criticizing you, nor am I really criticizing Cam Jordan, if we can be clear about that, although it's a ridiculous statement.
I think it's a nuanced conversation because Cam Jordan is the one saying it. That's
because it's a defensive player. No, I get it.
No, not because he's a defensive player, because he's someone who knows. And what I mean by that is Cam Jordan is someone who most recently played more of his downs on pass snaps, specifically because he's getting up there in age. So he's had some seasons where he's had 50, 60 pressures and still has 15 and a half sacks. And he also has other seasons like last year where he had 10 and a half sacks and only 20 pressures. Like, he knows you can game the system. So when Preston's saying, sorry, that was actually not Preston, that was Storm.
It was Storm, right? Yeah, it was technically Cam Jordan himself saying,
Trey Hendrickson call out. He's saying there are a lot of guys in the league who ain't trying to play on rundowns because, again, Cam Jordan is a guy who's dominant in rundowns. Like, he's always a dominant guy in rundowns. So he's trying to say, this dude ain't playing to run. This dude barely playing a pass half the down. So he's absolutely abandoning his responsibility.
We're playing the run. It still wouldn't matter because the Bengals defense is that bad. This ain't that.
He could be a part of the reason that it's bad, though. I can also acknowledge that realistic landing point.
Okay. We obviously can't say it's impossible because impossible is a bold statement. But if you're going to do that to Trey Hendrickson for him busting his entire rear, being the only real defensive weapon they got, you're overdoing it. This is the wrong conversation. This is the wrong nuance to chase.
I'm just saying, at the end of the day, if a guy is abandoning his responsibility, I don't know the play calls. I ain't in the holes, bro. Like, all I know is if the guy is absolutely like in the old school unique Ngakoue situation where he's just not following his responsibility, but he does get the sack, and the sack does matter. But you don't know how many of those plays, those 10 plays, those 15 plays in the game where the actual gash in the run game happened because he was in the wrong spot, or he didn't get home and the big play happened, but the real play call was to have these guys cage rushing and not overrunning the quarterback. Like, I'm just being real about that.
No, I know you are. Just as much as we don't have a count of times where he still may not have gotten the sack, but still did enough pressure to make for an incompletion instead. We don't have any of that. That's why I'm not going down that road, especially with a defense like the Bengals, who bad. Period.
I'm with you. So overall, like, it's because it's Cam Jordan who plays the run dominantly, and he's talking probably about someone who is not doing that. I understand how we get there.
The framing is the issue. I completely agree with that.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we were talking about offensive player of the years before Storm took us off to this tangent, right?
Oh, no, we were talking about comeback player of the year.
I'm sorry. I thought we moved on.
We hadn't fully transitioned into offensive player.
We were wrapping up with comeback player and Trayvon, and that guy was Cam Jordan.
And really, you know what it is? It's answering your question of why Trayvon isn't a serious candidate. Is because stuff like this comes up.
Because nobody's paying attention to run stopping. That's the start.
Josh Hines-Allen won't be in the conversation because too many people pay attention to the wrong stat. You know why? Because nobody in their right mind is even going to come in the general position of handing the MVP to Pressures Man. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, nobody's saying that this dude led the league in pressures. Here's your trophy. I do understand. That's a fair point. He's going to have to get home like another 17 sack season. And we already talked about the fact that 17 sack season was riddled with a lot of rookie quarterbacks and guys holding the ball past 5 seconds.
If you're a quarterback with 20 completions on the run that were pounded in then later by a running back or a fullback, so you never got the touchdown, you're not getting the MVP.
But I do look forward to this Jacksonville Jaguars secondary making quarterbacks hold the ball a little bit longer. Maybe not a lot, but a little bit longer this season. And maybe that could result in a few more Josh Hines-Allen sacks. And we could have a real conversation about another 15 sack season.
I agree with you. That is intriguing. But anyway,
now we can move on to the
offensive player of the year, Humpy Bumpies. Let's do the damn thing.
All right, man. So we already know Trevor Lawrence. Yes, we talked about Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, possible MVP. But on the off chance it's not Trevor Lawrence, that's a better conversation. Like, who are your non-Trevor Lawrence options out there, man?
So the running backs are right out because it's going to be a committee system. I'm confident with that. Yeah,
of course.
So, I think the answer is BTJ. No disrespect to Jacoby Myers. What they're going to ask him to do won't be something that leads to home run hits and big plays. He's going to be reliable. Hey, we got to remember I'm here because I'm still going to do enough to gash you and make you pay for it. Mm-hmm. I think Myers is going to have 5 catches. 7 catches, over 20 yards on the season. I don't think his role is going to be the big ball catcher. You and I both know that is going to be BTJ and Travis Hunter, who have that role with a little bit of Parker Washington sprayed in, because he's going to have some of those big plays on the strength of yak catches where people forgot about him and were made fools to do so.
Okay. Yeah, and I want so badly to be able to say Parker Washington is going to be one of those guys. Like, I want it to happen because I'm a fan of the underdogs just in general. And while he is not a quote unquote underdog after his breakout last season, it still would be sort of an underdog story to be drafted the way he was drafted and then become that sort of guy. And we're talking like truly in the competition, top 2, top 3 voting in offensive player of the year kinds of conversation. But that would take for Parker Washington to get like 10 target, 15 target days in this 2026 season. And I don't know that that's going to happen with this wide receiver core for the Jacksonville Jaguars, unless that means Brian Thomas just didn't come through, unless that means Travis Hunter is just simply truly is playing 100% snaps at cornerback and nothing else, injuries or something along those lines. And that's the only way. But I would love to see it. But just looking at even like a Puka Nacua type of situation, that dude did not make it to being a true offensive player of the year candidate until year 3. If it happens, it'd be great to see. But you're talking year 3 in that system. I don't know.
Yeah, Preston. It's Preston in the comments. BT, Hunter, or Parker. Nah, I'd have to go Cooper Kupp. Yeah, we're talking about Jaguar players that have the best shot. And as a side note, Cooper Kupp has to finish the season before he's going to be such a candidate. I think Father Time is fighting against.
He was talking about old school Cooper, if I understood correctly, like
okay.
with Puka, that kind of guy. If that makes any sense.
So now he just has Devontae Adams instead. That's cool. Of course, Puka's off-field situation makes that interesting too. I don't know what to make of it.
Oh yeah, his recent off-field stuff. Like I don't know what to say about any of that mess. But hopefully they get it figured out. Oof. But yeah, overall, I agree with you. The running back room is not going to happen unless Bayshaw just goes bananas. Like again, I think we're all saying it's going to be a committee. It's going to be a committee. It's going to be a committee until it's not, because the fact of the matter is Chris Rodriguez has not been on the grass yet for us to see him perform in practice. And the word is he's going to be, as far as training camp is concerned, like when that's starting in a few weeks, or not even a few, like in a week. But overall, that was kind of the conversation surrounding Bucky Irving and Rashad White in Tampa Bay. And then an injury happened in the offseason. And then it wasn't what people thought it was going to be. It ended up being more of Bucky's backfield. And the same thing applies to this Jacksonville Jaguars backfield. Again, Chris Rodriguez had his offseason injury. He had his offseason, issue. I believe it was a surgery there. If we haven't seen him on the grass, it's a possibility that if something happens this offseason and this backfield is fully Bayshaw Tutons, we could be having a totally different conversation than what folks are like expecting this backfield to look like right now, at least.
And well, I hear you. You're right. That's how it would have to look. I mean, if Bayshaw Tutin comes out here, or Chris Rodriguez, either of them, if a Jacksonville Jaguar running back has 1,000-yard season, something's either gone incredibly right or horribly wrong. There is not a middle ground here.
I mean, that's fair. But if it's just 1,000 yards, I'm actually not feeling bad about that. If it's 1,500 yards, I'm feeling real good about that. I mean, 1,500 yard season, that means something went really good. And you're talking James Robinson. You were talking James Robinson territory at that point. Like,
right. It would be an amazing stat line. What's happening around it is my concern.
All right. I got you. But yeah, those are the main guys from my perspective. I don't think we missed anyone. I mean, you're talking again.
That's a real short list. Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
I think the list is just as long for offensive player of the year candidates as it is defensive player of the year candidates. That's what I'll say. We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. I got you. Yeah, no, this is the offensive player of the year. It's just the odds, just so folks to know what's out there at least. But it is plus 40,000 for Parker Washington to be offensive player of the year.
You know what? The fact that they put an entry for it is how far he's come.
It's that exciting. Everybody loves an underdog, bro. If you could bet $10 and win 4,000, who ain't gonna want to take that chance for a dude that was averaging like 10 targets a game for like last, I don't know what.
I mean, if you want to bet for charity, sure, why not? By the way,
charity.
Ezra Cleveland should be on the list, but no, I'm kidding.
Wait, what list?
Offensive player of the year.
Oh wow.
I'm joking, obviously.
Interesting.
So too was Preston in the comments.
That's an interesting one. All right.
It won't happen, but like the problem, offensive linemen don't have stats. And what I think should happen is an offensive line as a unit should be able to get votes. Because, and going back when, I couldn't tell you what year it was, but it was still the 2000s. The line that the Cowboys had that made DeMarco Murray and Tony Romo look that great that year should have won the MVP that year. I want to say 2002, but I forget what year it is.
And if the running back wins the award, that's kind of what it means. But they can't say that. But
fair.
Yeah. Where we at, defensive players, or you want to go knock some comments out?
The comments for the most part, I think we're pretty caught up on comments mostly. I'll say this one, that Storm has Parker Washington 1,000 yards, 80 receptions, 8 touchdowns with 3 or 4 special team scores. I don't know if special teams would move the needle for offensive player of the year. It would at least break the tie.
I absolutely think it would. I absolutely think the special teams touchdowns would get Parker Washington more involved in that, because at the end of the day, I think it's just about getting more eyes on this guy. When you have more eyes on him, whether it's from the fantasy football community or whether it's from the Sports Center, just being on the highlights, any of these things are going to help you become part of the conversation. No different than the Cam Little situation. Having those 2 records last year got him into the conversation. He didn't get into the Pro Bowl, but he was absolutely in that conversation because of all those extra eyes on his play. And I think the same thing for Parker Washington. If you were to get 3 to 4 special teams touchdowns, you're there. He was that close to being a Pro Bowl special teamer last year if he didn't miss that game where the Tennessee Titans punt return ended up scoring, I believe, the same week. And that's kind of what took the lead overall, because a lot of folks aren't looking at special teams like that, not in the play-by-play. They're going to look at the average and the touchdowns.
Well, moreover, when they show you the stats, they're not going to have special teams stats listed with it. I wouldn't think. I don't know. I'm not a voter for the awards. I hope to be one day, but
the highlights, but you remember the highlights. You
yeah, that's what I mean. At the very least, it would be a tiebreak. It's exactly what I'm getting at. Zenith in the comments, a tight end going to get anything? I don't know that tight end exists in the league today, if I'm being honest.
Right. Offensive player of the year, you're going to get over a running back and over a quarterback. I don't know that's who that tight end would be.
Yeah. And I can tell you why it's not going to be Brenton Strange. Is simply put because he's involved too much in the run game. And there's too many mouths to feed on at the receiver spot. This isn't a scenario like the Niners had last year, just as an example, or, what we've seen some of the Ravens teams, right, where they've had to run entirely through Mark Andrews at times, or the Niners having to run entirely through George Kittle at times.
George Kittle in 2024 was like 11th in offensive player of the year voting with 1,100 yards.
Yep.
Brother, you ain't getting top 5 as a tight end.
Storm.
That's it, Storm.
Storm Lancet. If Gronk never got it, nobody should. I agree. And Gronk was the MVP of the Patriots for a time. Yes, over Thomas Edward, Patrick Bieber, Brady.
It's not happening, bro. So that's it. So the tight end does not exist. Unfortunately, that's going to be able to get those kinds of yards. You'd have to have such a horrible season. And again, I don't know what that season looks like in real life to make even try to imagine an argument. So sorry, no tight ends. There's no Brenton Strange imagination.
It's a good question, though, Zenith. It has to be brought up because, what Brenton does compared to his counterparts in a good way is considered strange. But, it's a whole thing.
No, so we got the defensive player of the year. Ooh, defensive player of the year. I like this one.
I think there's as many candidates for this award as there are on offense.
I like defensive player of the year conversation because there's so many guys, and every year, if it's not a sack artist, like if it's not someone who's just dominating in sacks, it can be all over the place.
Well,
you just don't know.
Yeah, that's a great point. And here's the other thing. Here's another requirement too. Something where you corners suffer the way we trench warfare people do, and I'm including defensive linemen here, not just O linemen. Of course, O lineman is clearly the pinnacle example, right? Sure. Corners get screwed over too, because if you're doing your job, you won't get stats, right?
If you're the top, if you're the pinnacle of those guys, but if you're a guy who maybe you're not an elite, you're not Sauce Gardner, you're not Pat Surtain, you're not the guys who's already established, and you're a guy who they will continue throwing at, like an Antonio Johnson, and you capitalize on those opportunities, and you walk away with 7-8 interceptions, maybe want to return one of them for a touchdown.
And that's the point I'm making.
Conversation now.
Exactly. So what has to happen is you need to have no stats except interceptions, but then those interceptions need to come, which means your team has to have a weak schedule. I mean, Deltha O'Neal one year, an old Bengals corner, had 9 interceptions one year.
Sure.
It spiked his stats.
Yeah.
It was also a year he just happened to play Brett Favre.
But Pat Surtain is an elite cornerback who's already established that he is an elite cornerback. So the league already is kind of aware of who he is and pays attention to who he is.
And that's adorable.
And he won Defensive Player of the Year back in 2024, right? With what was it, like 5 interceptions, 4 interceptions, something like that? Like, he didn't dominate in any way. And he won that year over Trey Hendrickson, who had a boatload of sacks. I know he had over 10. I don't know the exact number, back in the 2024 season. So I'm like, dude, it's possible to be a defensive player and to still beat a guy with sacks if you just happen to already be established. The Jaguars don't have that guy necessarily here. So you can't just have a 4 interception season and be like, all right, I'm that guy. But if you end up with like a 7 to 9 range realistically with the pick 6, folks gonna be talking about you by the end of that season. Like, you as a defensive back, you're gonna be in that mix of those top 2 to 3 guys for sure.
And if that's the year I'm thinking it is, this is another year where Joe Burrow, I don't think, finished the year. Right? So Trey Hendrickson, exactly. He's a victim of the rest of his team's performance, right?
It's possible. He has 17 and a half sacks, and still Pat Surtain got 65% of the votes with 4 interceptions and a pick 6. And one of them being a pick 6. So like, that's what I mean. Like, as a defensive back, that's why I would look at someone like a Antonio Johnson or Travis Hunter as defensive player of the year candidates.
Hunter is my pick.
It may be easier to do less and get more with like less production. And I'm not demeaning the cornerbacks by calling 6 to, let's say, 10 interceptions less production. I'm saying it's less amount of plays to get those numbers. Whereas a sack you can only get 1 sack a play. You can only get 1 interception a play. You can 17.
Well, and actually it's even worse than that in favor of the corner, right? Every play a defensive lineman lines up and involved attacking the quarterback in some fashion. The corner isn't targeted every play.
Yeah. Every play they pass the ball, the rush has an opportunity of getting home. The corner, only when they're targeting you, and eventually you make enough plays, they're gonna stop targeting you. Which is why I consider someone like Antonio Johnson having, in my head, better odds than someone like Travis Hunter, who I believe has better ball skills. But the league also knows he has great ball skills because he plays wide receiver, that he might not get tried too often if he were to get, 3 to 5 interceptions. Whereas Antonio Johnson plays inside of the hashes, where NFL offenses these days lives, and he's roaming often as a safety. So overthrows happen, tips happen. That's your kind of guy. And I'm not this guy trying to just bring this out of nowhere and say Antonio Johnson, top of the world, pay the man, incredible player. Like, and he's all those things. But I'm just saying the position that he plays and where he's located, and also where offenses are targeting, puts him in a prime spot.
And the era of football we're in, which I think is a very good point you brought up.
That's it.
So
that's it.
I think
then Josh Hines-Allen is the other one. Obviously, Josh Hines-Allen with Trayvon, those sack guys, of course. But I just think, maybe Antonio Johnson can be your new Devin Lloyd, like we saw towards the end of last season, that he started that use of being moved all over the place and just finding ways to come down with the ball, man. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be what it is.
Well, Storm points out something. Let's all be honest. A Jag is going to have to put up video game numbers to win anything. Well, for those numbers, that's absolutely true. So let's go to a category that could be a little bit easier. And I think you have next on the list offensive rookie of the year.
It will be easier, but not for this team.
Here's the thing. Not this team, not this year, right?
Yeah.
But who's somebody even in the past that might have been able to potentially get that award?
That's a fun and a sucky conversation if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, man. It is. There's no way around it. You got BTJ. What was that back in 2024? Obviously he had the franchise record for both receiving yards, just under 1,300, and receptions. He was 4th in the rookie of the year voting that season with 16.5% of the vote, behind Jaden Daniels, Brock Bowers, and freaking flicked it behind Bo Nix. The boy can't hit the side of a barn. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Like, just that defense is carrying him. And then you had Fred Taylor, 1998, 1,400 yards rushing, 17 touchdowns, 11-5 record for the team. And he was 3rd of the year in offensive rookie of the year voting that year. He only had 2% of the vote. But also, Randy Moss exists. Randy Moss, that was a 17 touchdown season also. So Fred Taylor had 17 touchdowns. Randy Moss had 17 touchdowns. It's Randy Moss, bro. He gonna get that. And Peyton Manning, that was Peyton Manning's, I believe, his rookie season, right? He had 28 interceptions. And
he wasn't winning no offensive rookie of the year because he was horrible his rookie year.
But he still was ahead of Fred Taylor.
Well,
in the rookie voting that year. because that's the Jacksonville bias. That's the piece. MJD 2006. Because he was doing kick return too. He had 2,250 all-purpose yards, 15 touchdowns, and he still only made it the third in offensive rookie of the year voting, 18% of the vote, because Vince Young, 19 touchdowns,
who was not a good quarterback anyway, and he still won it. I was ticked about that.
His rookie season, I mean,
them
running yards, bro. I mean, I ain't gonna say the stats were great, but he willed a bad team to some wins. I ain't gonna BS you there. Maybe he shouldn't have won, but I thought he was. It was entertaining, and I ain't I'm not even. I'm a Jaguars fan, and at the time, 2006, I wasn't even in the media. I just thought he was a guy willing that team to victories. All right, I'm gonna shut up then. But yeah, 18% of the vote behind Vince Young, and who's the other guy? It was 4 guys on the list for the Jaguars.
James Robinson.
1,400 yards. Yeah.
UFL champion and Louisville King, James Robinson. Correct.
Yeah, James Robinson, but he didn't get any votes. But he set an NFL record for most yards from an undrafted free agent, and I think what's the name? The Storm asked about like offensive linemen and tight ends and everything else, but
yeah, so I was going to get to that, and well, Storm, that's the thing. O linemen don't get it anymore. For if they ever did,
if they did get it, if offensive linemen got offensive rookie of the year, 0% chance that it had the conversation that would have had to include Brandon Linder in his rookie season. Like, folks forget that his Brandon Linder's rookie season back in what was it,
2008 is what you have here, I think.
No, Brandon Linder. No, that was like 15, 14, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Where's the image? Brandon Linder.
14. There we go.
Brandon Linder back in 2014. He has the second highest graded PFF rookie grade of any Jacksonville Jaguar rookie since 2006. The highest grade was BTJ. That was the highest rookie season of the Jacksonville Jaguars since PFF started grading scores back in 2006. And the second highest was Brandon Linder back in 2014, 79.8. But that Jaguars team stunk. They were 3-13. So you're not going to win something when you're the best in a bad line. But he was absolutely the best. And Brandon Linder, he had a great career in Jacksonville overall. But it just sucked that if you had an offensive lineman in their first year in Jacksonville that was going to do it, it was probably going to be that dude. But yeah, offensive linemen never going to get the credit.
I mean, listen, we don't have that conversation anymore. I know it there too. Jimmy Smith missing from the list. Here's the thing.
Rookie season?
Yeah. First of all, when he entered the league, he was not a Jaguar, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm very confused about that. Like, we were talking rookie of the year.
Yeah, see, King David points it out, not a rookie when he came in. Exactly. Yeah. And there's just circumstances that work out that way, right? We're going to bring up when we talk about the defensive rookie of the years. I mean, I'll pull it in now so I can add context, because I'm pretty sure you don't have my guy included, but you have JHA back when he was still JA back in the day. Josh Hines Allen with 10.5 sacks. Jalen Ramsey in the conversation, which I think makes total sense. He had 2 INTs with a pick 6, 14 passes defended, very legit. And then Kevin Hardy as well with 5.5 sacks, 2 INTs and 71 total tackles. Those numbers in 96, him not getting it is a crime in its own right.
Right. So who's your guy? You said you had a 4th guy that's not on the list. Who's that guy?
I think if he finishes the season and then an official doesn't rob the Jags, him in particular, of a pass defended to win the game, I think Travis Hunter would have been in the conversation.
Oh, you mean last year?
Yeah.
Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hell of a jump, because we didn't see enough of him to say Travis Hunter last year would have had to have enough INTs to make it worth.
So think about it though, Travis. When did he got knocked out in the Rams game?
Sure.
He missed the opportunity to play a cavalcade of trash quarterbacks.
All the bad quarterbacks that Antonio Johnson got a lot of those interceptions off of. Yeah. You're not wrong. I'm just trying to figure out who in the heck. All right, so defensive rookie of the year last year ended up going to let's see, oh goodness, I ain't saying that name, bro. That's German in some way. I don't know where that dude from. Cleveland Browns linebacker Carson Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger. Yeah, there you go. All right, cool. With 88% of the vote, with 2.5 sacks, 2 INTs, and what is this? 69 solo tackles with 89 assists.
See, I'm pretty sure they only voted for him because he had 69 solo tackles. Okay.
Nice.
Because at day's end, with all the pomp and circumstance surrounding Travis Hunter, such that it was, you're going to tell me the media wouldn't have willed his rear end into defensive player of the year? There's no way.
You're not wrong. Nick Emenwari ended up having 1 interception with his basically 80 plus tackles, and he had 40% of the vote last year for rookie of the year voting. So you make a very legitimate point. If Travis Hunter is doing what we expect Travis Hunter to do in this 2026 season last year, he probably is deep in that conversation. If not, I mean, you're already realistically looking at that dude being a top 2 guy, top 3 guy for sure. Dang, you're not wrong. And they all were over James Pierce, which is funny because he had 10.5 sacks. Wow. All right. Hey, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
No, this isn't about you being wrong. This is about me being right. I don't think you didn't say.
I didn't. Yeah, that's right. That's true. I didn't make an opinion yet. That's fair.
Yeah, you didn't.
In my head, Josh Hines Allen being snubbed in 2019 was a weird thing. It was it truly like. Let me pull this back up just for a second. It was a weird thing for me because JHA 2019. 10.5 sacks while he was playing a rotational role because he wasn't playing a full assortment of snaps at the time, and he got a Pro Bowl nod that year. But he was 4th in defensive rookie of the year voting with only 2% of the vote, and he was behind 2 guys he had more sacks than. And I know he wasn't more dominant then because he was only playing in a rotationally at that time. Nick Bosa had 9 sacks that year. Max Crosby had 10 sacks that year. While again, both of those guys are playing a full set of snaps, and I'm just like, oh, that sucks. But I get why they obviously are doing a little bit more on the rundowns and everything else. The run game does matter if it's a tiebreaker, I guess. But also, this guy's playing way less snaps. He probably should have been a little bit higher if he got more production. The Jalen Ramsey thing for me, I'm a DB guy. I'm always going to have that bias. Right. 2 INTs, 14 PBUs, 55 solo tackles, and a touchdown. And he was only still 2nd in the league that season and defensive rookie of the year voting, 20% of the vote behind Joey Bosa, who had 10.5 sacks. Same 10.5 sacks that Josh Hines Allen can't win in a different season. That's what I'm saying. Like it kind of sucks. Like, and the Kevin Hardy thing was probably the worst one, because 5.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 INTs, and he was still 3rd in voting behind big time Zach Thomas at linebacker, 120 tackles, and Simeon Rice, who had 12.5 sacks.
Those are 2 bad men. That is
2 bad men. I would agree with you. This is though back in the 90s for y'all who know. If you know, you know. Those are some good names. I get it.
Those are Hall of Fame caliber dudes. Yeah, like,
and his game was up there, and that's the point. That's why it sucks.
You just happen to come out the same year as Randy Moss. You just happen to come out the same year as Simeon Rice and Zach Flippin' Thomas.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's just when it happens. But the biggest snubs that we can really get into, can we talk about it? Coach of the year.
I'm going to get hot here. I'm just going to tell you that.
I know you are because I already see where this conversation is about to go. Coach of the year. So let's start the conversation first. Can Liam Coen be coach of the year in 2026? Duh. The guy was 2nd in voting just last year. I think that's a very easy landing point to say, yes, Liam Coen could absolutely be coach of the year in 2026. If they do it again, they open this tough part of the schedule up with some dominant wins. They show out on prime time when it matters most. They continue, double-digit wins, 11, 12 win season. Yeah, of course, Liam Coen is going to be right in the thick of this. But we've seen a thing or two. So we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two in Duval. We know to be snubbed because we know this is a team that ain't gonna get no respect, and folks ain't watching half the damn games anyways. Like that's just what it is. And you can go back to the 2022 season. This is the one I know Kyle's gonna get pissed off about. And you go back to the 2022 season for the Doug Peterson situation. And again, whether or not, however you feel about Doug Peterson today, at the time, I think we all were pretty much in solid agreement that, nah, man, Brian Daboll cannot be the coach of the year over Doug Peterson in that season. Like,
not even a little bit.
And it wasn't really a close vote as far as that's concerned.
Not remotely close.
20% more of the vote Brian Daboll got than Doug Peterson that season.
Oh, hold up, fam. That's 20% more than Kyle Shanahan, if I'm reading this right.
Oh, no. Doug Peterson got 30% of the vote. Brian Daboll got 49.2% of the vote. That's
okay. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yeah. I beg your pardon. Okay.
Yeah. That's 19.2% more of the vote than Doug Peterson. Kyle Shanahan was right above him at 40%. Like overall, that was when I'm like, ugh, if Doug ain't winning in that year, they not winning it no time soon. And well, the Jaguars haven't. Unfortunately, they've been right in the thick of it, but they just haven't been able to get it. And the one we just talked about, obviously, is the big one last year.
Well, and last year, and to be honest, there were other guys that deserved it about as much as Coen. This year, I don't think it should have gone to Shanahan. If Ben Johnson got it, would have been happy. Mike McDonald, I get it, but I'm playing the worst schedule in the league, and I'm doing stuff off the field to jeopardize my team, and this is your coach of the year candidate.
So I don't agree that Ben Johnson would have deserved it. I don't think he did. If you were to tell me Mike McDonald, I understand. You were to tell me Kyle Shanahan, not last year.
I think they all had. Well, no, I took Shanahan out. I think the top four guys had a case. I'm not saying that Ben Johnson would have had my vote. I'm just saying he had a case.
Yeah, and Mike McDonald won the Super Bowl, so of course he freaking has a case. And I get it. And Mike Vrabel, of course you have a case because you're in the Super Bowl, but also
it's also a regular season award. We got to be careful mentioning.
You're not coming from these. So I want context matters, and the only team that feels like they're not getting context is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Correct.
So I will be the local Duvalian, the local Duval devout representative to give this Hall of Fame speech and say, bruh, context matters. Look at each one of these organizations. Damn the team. Look at the organizations. The New England Patriots. No. We're gonna put that back up. The New England Patriots, the Seattle Seahawks, and the Chicago Bears and the San Francisco 49ers. And then you look at the coach next to those names and tell me that those organizations, what they're coming from, is the same as the Jacksonville Jaguars in year one. Because that's what we're looking at right now. Liam Coen in year one took this Jacksonville Jaguars team to becoming a coach of the year candidate with GM that everyone around the NFL was pretty much in lockstep saying, boy, this is Littlefinger. This is a bad situation for everyone in that room, and they need to get this cancer out. Yep. It's a known across the league. And then we're comparing him to all these other teams. Obviously, I know some folks don't believe in the politicization of the word DEI or whatever you want to call it. But in my opinion, this is a DEI conversation. This is saying that dude came from the hood. Liam, that dude came from the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars. This dude came from Duval County. That man came from Myrtle Avenue and and took them boys to the playoffs in year one after Trent Baalke. Nah, bro, that dude deserves the church in his name and everything. Like, no, bro. There is like some context that needs to be had here because that dude came from a background. He was a gangbanger on the street, everything else, like all the things you can say about the positive things you can say about what the Jaguars did last year. That's kind of what I'm landing at the end of the day, because the Seattle Seahawks were a dominant organization, a solid, well-ran organization. The San Francisco 49ers were a great ran organization. The Chicago Bears might have been a little bit up and down, but they were a stable organization.
They've been down for a while. Let's be fair.
They ain't been down like the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I don't think they're in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
So I'm saying you add that just a little bit of context in and tell me that Liam Coen should lose against the New England Patriots, who like every other year were in the dang Super Bowl, who had like, nah, bro, we ain't close to the same category of conversation. Like this, we're not having a real conversation right now. And the fact that he won, and then you add the additional context of the Diana Rossini situation in that, and I'm like, oh, she had a vote. That's rough. That's really rough.
I mean, Urban Meyer's in a random place out there where he shouldn't be with some rando who won't vote for him coach of the year. But we all are good with Vrabes. Cool.
Yeah, and Mike Vrabel was a good coach. And
he is a good coach. This isn't about him as a good coach. Yeah, I maintain that the only reason the Titans hired Robert Saleh is because they were the closest thing to Vrabel on the open market. Nobody wants to have that conversation right now. But
he's a good coach. I just didn't think he deserved to be coach of the year. I just thought they were fine when they coasted on an easy schedule. And I think the Jacksonville Jaguars' entire schedule was the second half of their schedule. Liam Coen probably would have won like 15 games or something.
Preston in the comments made a point a while back, for a 13-5 season, we sure do have a lot of comeback candidates. Well, and we do, because there was that much injury, there was that much going on with the roster at a particular time, and to be able to keep the Shores afloat. First of all, if if that statement doesn't prove that Jimmy Stones is a thing, I don't know what will, because the depth that was there for a lot of younger guys was cool. Sure. Also, some of that is Littlefinger's groups too as well. I'm not taking from that.
Oh no, I put that on Liam Coen more. I put that on the coaching staff more than I put that on Gladstone, if I'm honest.
Well, that's where I was going to lay the plane. The other element that's doing it in real time while the bullets are flying is Liam Coen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the league believes that to be the same. And that's the unfortunate part of the Trevor Lawrence conversation that we were already kind of having.
I don't believe the league thinks that. I believe the people who are voting for it, these media members who are regularly stealing money, in my opinion, from Travis D. Holmes, who's a guy who's an actual ball knower and film watcher, are the ones that are voting. And that's why we're here.
Okay. Well, for the folks who are curious just where they are right now, Liam Coen plus 2,200 for Coach of the Year for this season. Again, your runner-up for last season's Coach of the Year award, barely missing out by basically 2 votes if you don't count Diana Rossini, and I don't. Then yeah, he has a plus 2,200. $10 wager would get you $210. For anyone who cares about that. Otherwise, you just should know good odds. The One Kings, David says, to go from 4 and 13.
Oh, I'm just flashing these while you're talking because they're saying a lot of the same things that we said.
From 4 and 13 to where they went is ridiculous. And I'm with you there.
Preston points out the schedule. David points out the schedule. It's Storm points out Patriots had a losing record against teams over 500. The Jags beat 6 playoff teams. By the way, a point we've made before, and I will reiterate again. One of these wins were then to a team that they lost to eventually as well. So I don't know if that balances out or not, but sure, they beat the Bills. They also lost to the damn Bills. Like, that's the whole thing that happened. So what are we doing here?
I guess, yeah.
The one, granted, I'm not going to count it as much because Uncle Phil was involved with the second one, but the Jags took a team out of playoff evaluation by sweeping them.
So let me ask this one question to you, sir. Out of all these, most valuable player, comeback player of the year, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, the offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, they're basically out of the conversation. Let's be real. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're probably not having a Nate Brogicher offensive rookie of the year kind of conversation.
Yeah, he's not going to do enough.
You're probably not having a Zach Durfee rookie of the year conversation. Unlikely. You
don't think Husky has a shot? I'm joking.
No shade. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
But which one of these things has the best odds of the Jacksonville Jaguars landing in 2026? That's my question. MVP, comeback player of the year, offensive defensive player of the year, or coach of the year? Coach of the year feels like a cheat sheet. It feels like a cheat code.
I don't agree, because what will happen is you and I will see the Jacksonville Jaguars do better as a team, but have a worse record.
Mm.
In no world will the media be smart enough to vote for a guy as coach of the year and have a worse record than the previous year. I just don't think that happens. Okay.
Because everybody love everything new. All right.
The answer to the question is comeback player of the year. And what it's going to be is a player who probably deserved defensive player of the year, but they aren't going to give it to him for some reason or another. He's going to have just too few stats to do everything happen, that make everything happen, I should say, because he's locked people down. Travis Hunter is going to get the comeback player of the year because of the press surrounding him and because of the sideshow that he is, because he plays both sides. If he finishes the season contributing as both on both sides, as Liam Coen claims he's going to win it.
That's a good one. Again, I still do believe it's the coach of the year opportunity is the one that the Jaguars have the best odds of getting.
I love your optimism. I do. I just don't share it.
I think he should have won it last year. I think there's a realistic chance because it's the Jaguars and people are already.
I think Dougie P should have got it over Brian Daboll. But we don't have to have that conversation. Brian Daboll won it over a dude that had 3 different quarterbacks and only lost the conference championship because he had to go to the 4th. Sorry, I feel ways.
Yeah, and if Trayvon Walker is part of that comeback player of the year award conversation, as I expect him to actually be when it's all said and done, then I also think that there's a legitimate shot between Travis Hunter and Trayvon that you can then be like, all right, one of those two guys have a legit puncher's chance of walking away with that title. So that's where I'm at.
Preston in the comments, ooh, don't ask that, Travis. Jaguars' best award chance is MVP. Oh, you sweet summer child. If Trevor balls out again after being a finalist, they have to give it to him, but he's going to have to earn it. Let me be clear.
You sweet summer child is wild.
If I figured it was less insulting than bless your heart in the South here, right? The only way Trevor Lawrence gets MVP is if he throws for 5,000 yards.
I mean, he could have a Mike Vick type season on the field, and rush for like 11 touchdowns plus. If
he's going to do it with less than 5,000 yards, he will require at least 15 touchdowns, and he will need at least 800 rushing, which I believe he's had an 800-year rushing before. I'd have to check. Maybe it's 6. I forget. I'm going off the cuff here because that'd be bless you, Preston. This is a great concept, but I have to land the plane to let you know. Listen. Go ask our dude PJ Brown, who regularly makes a butt ton of cash betting on the Jags somehow here, especially this past year. Okay, ask him if he would bet it.
Trevor Lawrence's highest rushing year so far is last year, 359 yards rushing.
He never got to 600. Okay.
Never got to 400. Yeah.
So what you're telling me is he's going to run suddenly at an unprecedented clip when all you have in the cupboard is Nick Mullins.
I mean, he had 9 rushing touchdowns last year. So again, him getting to that 11 that I was talking about is not that's not unprecedented necessarily. Like you could see that because they only started using his legs late in this, after the Kansas City Chiefs game.
Robert Lamison in the comments, 4,300-ish yards passing with 350 rushing yards. It's not enough.
It's enough for other quarterbacks. It's not enough for Jaguars, is what you're saying.
Correct. First of all, someone else is going to be able to do that here in this league, provided they stay healthy. Okay. If Trevor plays 17 and nobody else does, we'll talk. I will have that conversation with all my divers here in January. 100%. But and listen, I'm not necessarily talking football with you cats. Y'all making decent football points, but you're forgetting the game is stacked against you. The people who vote make jokes about how cool it is to not watch your team.
Which means if they're not watching the games, then you're forcing them to at minimum watch the highlights, and you better hope you're on top of those highlights every time.
Or you have to be wowed by a number, which leads me to, unless Trevor Lawrence throws for 5,000 yards He ain't getting it. Even if he gets 4,500 or 4,800. Oh, well, he's got this great receiver core. It really doesn't count. And their run game isn't all that in a bag of chips. So, these stories, he's basically Dan Marino with long hair. He doesn't count.
Yeah, you being real mean today, dude. You put some cold water on these hopes. I need a little less. I need some positivity. I believe.
By the way,
I believe
off screen, my dude's been looking for a chance to use that one.
I believe, sir. I believe that it could happen, but I'm not crazy. I ain't that guy.
Hey, man, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I will celebrate with you. I will take all the jokes. Kyle, you said it never happened. Don't you feel silly? Yes, I do. Let this take be the sobering take, the one that loses, where my crack-headed take last year wins. I will live that life 365 days a year. Let's do it.
Man, I want to be wrong, but
desperately.
But I can't get no writer. I got you. I understand. And I mean, we've pretty much gotten the vast majority of our questions out. We still have a lot of comments, but as far as that piece is concerned, but I know you guys. Go ahead.
I'm not saying again. Preston's bringing up football points again, and this is a great football point. Y'all off, says Preston. By y'all, he means Kyle. He's not throwing at you, Travis. Telling you, if balls weren't dropped in the first half of 25, he could have won last year. He has Hunter, and he has Hunter back. Numbers are even similar. They'll believe in him again. First of all, again, other than Nick Wright, who the F has believed in this guy?
Yeah, you've been
okay.
You've been a little high on that sake tonight, bro. That's another conversation. The
NFL is very we're already past an hour, so I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Yeah. But which good on you, divers. I'm here because you brought me here, and that's a good episode each and every time. You're making good football points.
Oh yeah, did you see?
But the voters,
go ahead.
The voters for the award don't watch football like
they're not watching the football, especially not as nuanced as you guys are. Like, come on, they're not watching the football. We have conversations all the time with these box score watchers, mouth breathers. Come on, bro. No, you don't know what this is.
We are basically telling you are smarter than some people that do media for a living. Yes. 1,000%
all the time, and I'm not even shouting on I'm not even talking about like local media, because again, I respect the vast majority of the local media. At least I know they watch the games,
and they're watching the games. Correct.
They have the nuance that matters. National media ain't watching the net. They box score watching after the fact, and they just trying to find ways to dunk and crack jokes and pretend they actually watched and know the game. There's a few of those guys who actually do a real job of looking at the actual game tape, what is it? Baldy's breakdowns and stuff like that. And a lot of the guys, they actually watch. Other than that, man, you just talking to guys who they're just trying to find ways to dunk on the team and just have some fun and get some engagement. That's it. And I put on the socials earlier today, just talking about the Jaguars receiver groups. A lot of the skill guys, tight ends, and a lot of those guys working out with Trevor Lawrence. He posted the picture from that on his IG, and the big takeaway for the vast majority, 90% of the comments is like, God dang, look at Travis Hunter.
1, 2, 3. Is that an 8-pack, Travis? Damn.
I don't know what that is, man. I ain't seen 8 abs since I was 4% body fat in college, and
I don't know if I can make it through beers the size of his abs, and that's a 6-pack. Good God.
All right. Keep it in your pants. All right, calm down. All right,
I made a beer joke. What the hell? What? Wait, I didn't even get a pause, man. You just can't come right out. You just can't come right out and throw it like that. What we doing here? Damn.
Wow, that's another pause. Your comment, but all right. Hey, Zeus. All right, but that was a big conversation. Was the fact that BTJ wasn't part of that group, and neither was Parker Washington. But you don't know what folks' schedules look like. You don't know what they got going on. You don't know what they already was that was prearranged or pre-planned, or how quickly this thing came together. There's so many moving pieces to this. And I ain't never seen I said it on the socials. I ain't never seen a more capitalistic society that's against PTO than I ever seen when it comes to sports. Because folks go crazy when they be like, that dude, why he ain't working out? I'm like, isn't this voluntary? Is that not what PTO stand for? Like paid time off? Let that man relax. Whatever he's doing is probably something that he had to do or was planning to do, whatever. It is what it is.
Listen, if he comes out here and gets 1,200 or even 1,000 receiving yards, nobody's going to care. Okay, it'll be fine.
No one's going to care. Now, if he doesn't,
one problem at a time. I'm just trying to close the lid on this so we aren't having the conversation in
that would
July.
be a different conversation, and somebody gonna be bringing up some kind of, hey, but you should have been working out or some of, that's what it's always gonna be, man. But it's all about whatever you do on Sundays. Cool. Let's see what happens.
I know what we do Sundays, Travis. We watch your Jacksonville Jaguars when they're playing on a regular basis, and I know you watch them in training camp, which is rapidly approaching. Tell the people where you can be found doing all of the above.
I mean, you already know, bigcatcountry.com. Click the link, support local journalism. We always gonna start there. But if you're listening to us right now, please click that like button. It helps us out tremendously, and it doesn't hurt you at all. There's a hype button also there if you want to help us out there. It helps a lot of the small creators. And if you're listening to us on the audio side, please rate and review us. Again, it pays us somehow, some way. But yeah, Travis D. Holmes on all the socials, the Duval Dive on TikTok, on X, all the places, and just keep it locked in. Click that subscribe button. Maybe even think about becoming a member. You guys get early access to all of our pre-recorded content. So when we do pre-record those episodes 2 days and 3 days ahead of the time, it's coming out Friday. Maybe you'll get it Wednesday night at midnight, because that's how we do. Just so y'all know,
we are night owls up in this.
We pre-record a lot of episodes because we try to make sure, and you will get them early. It's like $2 a month, like whatever. Like we appreciate you guys who are members.
Coffee, like I got my creamer for that. What are we doing? Anyway, I
mean, your creamer's expensive, bro. But
it is. You're not wrong. Good creamer's expensive. Anyway,
let us know where you can be found, man.
Of course, I'm Kyle Nass's student. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at the SOTG. Find my work covering UCF on Locked On UCF and UCF Night Zone, as well as my coverage of the UFL with the Storm Surge podcast. Make sure you check that out. Also, my work with 1010XL covering the Orlando Magic in written form on Orlando Magic Central on 1010XL.com. Some extra comments here. Unless he breaks some league season record, we ain't saying them awards without an AFC championship win first. Here's the issue with that. While correct on a schedule, technically speaking, regular season awards, folks.
Right.
So, but also, yes, I hear you. At day's end, PT does the thing and says the thing. First of all, appreciate you. Hype these bros like like they hype you for ball. Duval. Preston, I appreciate comments like that, man. Thank you. But it was the other wisdom you dropped that I wanted to bring in, and that is now after the show, who cares? Win the Super Bowl. That's obviously the superlative we want to see more than anything else. Just want to make sure everybody was aware of that. So for all you divers, great episode tonight. I'm hoping to carry this energy into day job stuff tomorrow. That's going to be great. For my personal champion, Travis D. Holmes. This is Kyle Nash, student of the game. Until next time, everyone, class dismissed.